In 1987 Hopewell County, Georgia, an interview plays on TV. The journalist asks Jonathan Dupree to look into the camera and tell his fellow Georgians why they should vote for him. Jonathan, the Attorney General of Hopewell, seeks re-election and wishes to continue his family's political legacy, which has been the power structure in the town of Hopewell for generations. Many consider his political ideology racist and hearken back to a Jim Crow South, the laws that enforced racial segregation. Though he says it is not true, many wouldn't agree. Even the elderly lady seeing his interview has had enough of him as she switches off the television. She grabs her hat and a cane to help her walk and sets off to meet someone. She first walks on a road and then takes the railway tracks. She passes a church and finally makes her way to Hopewell Town from her house in the woods. She visits Jonathan Dupree's office to meet him and wouldn't go without meeting him. And for that reason, she has been waiting outside his office for hours, even after his secretary tried to send her away, saying Jonathan was busy. Having waited as long as her patience allowed, she barges into his office. Jonathan finally agrees to meet her. Her name is Hattie Mee, and she has come with a request for him to look into a murder in the town that happened 40 years ago in 1947. The murder of her son Horace John Boyd, also known as Bayou. Jonathan scoffs, hearing this. He apologizes and says he won't be able to help her. He suggests she talk to the sheriff's office. Hattie takes out a bunch of letters from her bag that Bayou wrote and hands them to Jonathan. She says the letters have everything he needs to know. With that, she leaves his office. Jonathan is about to throw the letters away when a name, Leanne J. Harper, catches his eye. All the letters are addressed to her. Jonathan starts reading the letters. In the letters, Bayou mentions Leanne's name as Lil Ann. And so the story of Bayou and Lil Ann begins. Somerville, Georgia. The year is 1937. Bayou cuts some lavender stems and gleefully hops back home. A feast is being prepared. Chili, corn, crabs, chicken, coleslaw, and much more fills the air with its aroma. Coupled with the music of a live band, Hattie sings, and everybody dances to the upbeat song. Bayou comes from a family of musicians. Hattie is a blues singer, and his father, Buster, is a guitarist. Bayou asks his friends about a wallflower standing under the tree. She is introduced as Ethel Lee's daughter. People call her Bucket. Bayou is interested to know why people call her Bucket. He soon gets his answer. Her mother left her in the town and ran off to the north. Leanne resides with her grandpa. While everybody dances, Buster calls Bayou to play the trumpet. Bayou seems nervous, but his mama encourages him to play. Bayou starts playing, but his notes are out of tune, and overall, let's just say he messed up. His brother, Willie Earl, laughs, and Hattie shushes him. To Bayou's dismay, his father asks everybody if they like it, and a unanimous no can be heard. He publicly belittles his son, saying he is slow no matter how many times he tries to teach him. Hattie asks Buster to stop, but Buster makes it clear who his favorite son is and calls Willie. Willie Earl is a gifted trumpet player and soon steals the show with his solo performance on If You See My Rooster. Bayou walks away from the party, and so does Leanne. Bayou skips stones on the lake nearby and sings the song with the faint tune that is heard. He is a gifted singer, and it doesn't go unnoticed by Leanne, who says he should have sung instead of trying to play the trumpet. Bayou stops singing and walks to where Leanne sits on the tree branch, reading a book. She compliments his singing, and Bayou thanks her, saying it is a gift from his mama. But his dad doesn't like him singing. He wants him to play. Bayou introduces himself. Leanne asks why they call him Bayou. He says when he was born, his dad said his eyes were deep like a bayou. Leanne asks to see if his pa is right. He walks closer, and she leans to look into his eyes. She declares his eyes are normal and then remarks that his pa probably doesn't know much. Bayou gets offended and asks her to be careful about how she speaks about his father. Leanne apologizes, calling him by his actual name Horace John. Still irritated, he says he prefers Bayou and calls Leanne Bucket. Leanne is infuriated, and she says she prefers to be called by her name Leanne Jean Harper. She warns if he ever calls her Bucket, she will never speak to him again. She gets on the branch and starts to leave, so Bayou apologizes. As he does, Leanne loses her balance and falls on him, taking him down with her. On the ground, they both laugh at the silliness of the situation. Bayou asks if he will see her again and calls her Lil Ann by mistake. Leanne says she will when he learns to say her name correctly and leaves. Bayou seems to have a little crush on her. Bayou is all dressed up, and Hattie compliments on how good her son looks. Buster and Willie soon arrive with their hunt. Buster tells Hattie how Willie caught them all and that he couldn't be prouder of him, calling him my boy. Bayou feels left out, and Hattie understands how her baby boy must feel. Buster asks Bayou to skin the hunt, overlooking that he is all dressed up. Hattie jumps in and says she'll do it. Buster stops him to ask where he's going, but Hattie pushes him to go. She tells Buster that Bayou is going to ask Leanne if he can take her to the social. Willie listens to their conversation and gets angry because he doesn't want Bayou to ask Leanne. He rushes outside, ignoring his mom to leave Bayou alone. He pushes Bayou to the ground and sits on him to dissuade him from asking Leanne. The parents rush out, hearing the commotion. Seeing Willie bully Bayou, Hattie rushes towards them, picks a stick from the ground, and smacks Willie to get off of Bayou. Buster doesn't care and says Bayou should learn to be tough. Hattie takes a stand for Bayou and shouts at Buster and Willie to go inside and leave Bayou alone. Buster calls Willie and says he is going to teach him a new song. Bayu is hurt by the partial treatment his father gives the two brothers and asks his mama why it is like that. Hattie always supports her innocent baby and assures him he shouldn't listen to anything anybody says. She holds his chin to make him look high as she dusts off the dirt on his shirt. He reaches Leanne's house. Leanne is peeling the pea pods when she hears Bayu's voice. She rushes out and finds her grandpa questioning Bayu about what he wants. Bayu gets a glimpse of Leanne signaling him not to say anything, so Bayu says his mother is a washwoman, and he wants to know if there is any washing needed. Her grandpa catches on to his lies and says he isn't stupid. He can see what is going on. He warns Bayu to stay away from Leanne. He shoos Bayu away, threatening to hurt him if he ever steps on his property. Scared, Bayu walks away swiftly. At dinner, Buster starts poking Bayu, asking him what the girl said. Willie adds that she must have said no, and both father and son start laughing, making fun of Bayu. Hattie raises her voice and asks why they are always mean to Bayu. Buster ends up shouting at Hattie and leaving the table. He asks Willie to come with him, and even after Hattie asks him to finish his supper, Willie disregards his mother and tails his father. It's late at night, and everybody has slept. Bayu is woken up by a sound and finds a paper plane that Leanne threw at him from his window. Bayu quickly gets ready and sneaks out his window to meet Leanne. Leanne runs, and Bayu follows her to the same place near the lake where they first met. Leanne asks if he saw the letter she threw for him but soon realizes Bayu cannot read. Leanne helps him and tells him that she had written to meet her at the yew tree. Bayu is scared and says Leanne shouldn't be there. But Leanne doesn't care as her grandpa has passed out drunk at this hour. Bayu is very shy when talking to her. She asks why he had come to her house. He tells her he had come to ask her out to a social event. Leanne smiles and appreciates his gesture but says her grandpa won't let her go. He doesn't let anybody near her, and she feels like he hates her. Bayu knows how that feels. Leanne knows what he is talking about and changes the topic. She confesses she doesn't know why she came there to see him. She knows it is improper for her to come late at night and doesn't want him to think bad of her. But Bayu says he's glad she came. She makes him promise not to tell anybody about their meeting. She asks him why he can't read, and Bayu tells her how her brother and dad say he is too slow to learn. Leanne takes it upon herself to teach him how to read. Bayu remembers how beautiful she looked in the nightlight. Up until now, no one had encouraged her other than his mama, and today, seeing Leanne do the same, he felt good. A feeling of warmth grew inside him, and they stood there talking and smiling for hours till the sun almost came up. After that night, he couldn't wait for that paper plane to come flying into his room every night. Bayu would sleep dressed up so that he could go out with Leanne without wasting any time. What they shared was so pure. Leanne would bring a book and teach him to read every night. They laughed a lot and enjoyed each other's company. Bayu's mama was so happy that he was reading. But he couldn't tell her because she would have been mad at him for sneaking out at night and because he had promised Leanne he wouldn't tell anybody. But he couldn't understand why Leanne would shake. He felt that she had so much to say to him, but she never did and would just shake like a leaf on a windy day, even on a hot summer night. All summer long, they met at the tree. He was worried about what would happen to their rendezvous when the rainy season came. But there she was, waiting for him in the rain under an umbrella. They both were crazy about each other, and a little rain wouldn't stop them from meeting each other. And one day, with the first rays of the sun shining on them, they shared their first kiss. Bayu confesses he had never felt anything this good in his life. He came back home, jumping and hopping, his feet not touching the ground. But it didn't last long. He heard his mama scream. He ran inside and saw his mama holding a screwdriver and threatening Buster to stay away. Buster is in one of the moods where he loses his senses and directs his aggression on his wife. But Hattie is not going to give in. Buster then turns to Bayu, but Hattie warns him if he lays his hands on her son, he's going to regret it. Buster mocks Bayu and says Willie is the son who makes him proud. Hattie asks him to get out as he has done enough damage to the bond between the brothers. Buster says he's going to Chicago to become a musician. He then takes all the money Hattie has been saving. Hattie cries and tries to take the money from him as it is all they've got, but he forcefully takes it and leaves with his guitar. Willie whimpers and says he wants to come with him, but his dad says the road is not for him and leaves. Willie blames Bayu for this. Hattie tries to stop him from saying such things, but Willie just storms out from there in anger. Leanne is waiting for him when Bayu comes. She asks why he's late, and Bayu tells her what happened. He says he needs to help his mom now since she is going to be up late working. He will come to see her, but he's going to be late. Leanne is head over heels for this innocent man, and so to cheer him up, she kisses him. Bayu was always made to feel bad about how he is, but Leanne was the only one who made him feel like a man. He confesses he loves her, and Leanne abruptly gets up. She says she needs to go, leaving Bayu confused, thinking about what went wrong. He hated that night. One day Willie packs his bags and leaves. Hattie comes running after him. She asks him to stop, but he says he is going to Chicago to find Dad, and Bayu can stay there with her. Willie leaves, and Hattie cries, seeing her son go after her useless husband. That night she cried a lot, and it would remain the same for the coming days. Bayu would sit by his mama till she cried herself to sleep. Then every night, he would wait for a paper plane to fly from the window. Sometimes he would wait under the tree, but Leanne stopped coming at all. So one night, he went to her house, but what he saw there was horrible. He saw the extent to which her drunkard granddad was abusing her. Bayu sat there thinking his dad and brother were right, he is weak, or else he would have gone inside and eliminated the man for what he was doing to Leanne. He didn't tell Leanne what he saw, but she got a letter from him and after reading it came to meet him under the tree. She says the letter he sent was beautiful. He asks how she is doing, and she suppresses her sadness and says she's fine. Bayu says he shouldn't have said that he loves her, but Leanne stops him and says she loves him. Bayu takes out a ring and proposes to her. Leanne cries and says she is not a pure girl, but Bayu doesn't care because he loves her. Leanne is scared her granddad will not allow her, but Bayu assures her that he'll deal with him. Leanne finally says yes, and they kiss. Bayu is helping his mom with the clothes. Hattie's friend Sitsi suggests they should move to Hopewell County and start a proper juke joint. Hattie isn't sure. Sitsi says she's moving there too and nudges Bayu to convince his mama. Bayu also thinks they should move. He then tells her that he has been courting Leanne for a while. This doesn't come as a surprise for Hattie, as she knew he sneaked out every night to meet her. He tells Hattie he has asked Leanne to marry him, but his grandpa has said no, so he wants to take her with them. Sitsi tells him that Leanne is leaving with her mom to Boston. Bayu runs to stop Leanne. He pleads with her not to leave, but Leanne cries and apologizes. Her mother stops Bayu and says her dad told her what Bayu did to her, and he should be thankful that she is not calling the sheriff. They get in the car and drive off while Bayu cries bitterly, and her granddad laughs. In his next letter, Bayu mentions writing a letter to every woman with her last name, a letter in the hopes of finding Leanne. He wants to tell her he got drafted into the army. If he gets sent to fight and never comes back, he wants her to know that he loves her very much, and he misses her every day. Leanne's mother finds Bayu's letter one day and asks the postman to send the letter back to the sender and requests the same for all letters coming from that address. In another letter, Bayu mentions that he hurt his leg in a blast during the drill. Nothing to worry about, he should be fine in a few months, but because of the injury, he got discharged. He is going back home to see his mama because she can make anybody feel alright. Hattie and Sitsi had moved to Hopewell County and were doing very well for themselves. In 1947, Bayu also reached the town. He was awestruck the first time he stepped into the town. Bayu was amazed to see the juke joint his mama had opened and was managing. Hattie would do her washing job in the morning, and Bayu would help her with it. Every now and then, she would help a pregnant woman deliver. And all night long, she would sing the blues. One night Willie shows up in the juke joint, and Hattie is elated to see her boy back. He joins his mama singing the blues, but enchants the audience with his trumpet-playing prowess. Bayu writes about Willie coming back home with big-time stories that he couldn't tell were lies or the truth. He reminded Bayu of his dad. Bayu heard his dad passed away in Chicago, but Willie didn't mention anything about him. Willie introduces his manager, Ira. He is from Europe. Willie's odd demeanor doesn't go unnoticed by Hattie, and she asks him why he is so fidgety. But Willie brushes it off, saying he's happy to see his mama. He gets up to get some water, but Ira doesn't seem so well and soon passes out. Ira sleeps in their bed. Hattie questions Willie and asks him to tell her the truth about Ira. Willie sticks to his story that Ira is from Europe. They met a few years ago, and Ira had offered him to play in Europe, but they had lost touch. Recently they bumped into each other again, and Ira asked for Willie's help to get better, and he will provide Willie with an opportunity to play in Europe. Hattie doesn't have a good feeling about this. Willie is desperate, and in that desperation, he almost shouts at his mom to help Ira. Hattie is initially stunned but lets it go this time, knowing he has always been close to his dad, so there would be some similar traits. Bayu goes to deliver the washed clothes. He meets Sitsi at the local sheriff's house. She works there as a maid and was hired by the sheriff, Jackson, to look after his baby brother. Jackson walks in and sees Bayu sitting on one of the chairs. He gets annoyed and asks Bayu to get up and leave. Racial segregation is so deep-rooted in those people that they wouldn't even let the man touch any of their furniture, let alone allow him to rest. He is about to leave when he hears the sheriff introduce his little brother John and his wife Leanne to Sitsi, who will be looking after them during their stay. Bayu stops at the mention of a name he could never forget. Sheriff asks him to get out, and he turns a little, just enough for Leanne to recognize him, and leaves. Leanne turns as pale as a ghost upon seeing him, but her mother, Ethel, thinks her daughter is just tired. It soon starts raining, and Bayu is drenched till he reaches back home. He doesn't show how his heart wept, seeing the love of his life before him after so many years, but married to somebody else. Probably, nature felt bad for him and wept with him. Back home, he finds his brother reading his letters and teasing him for still writing to Leanne. Bayu gets furious and shouts at Willie angrily to give the letters back to him. Leanne sits in her room with her mother by her side. She shares that she can't do it. She is concerned that they are just a few hours away from where they used to live. Someone will recognize them, but Ethel is adamant. It is the only way they can secure their lives and have a well-off life if they pass themselves as white. And she won't let anybody ruin this chance for her, not even Leanne. Ira is conscious again and is a little scared and disoriented. Bayu gives him the homemade medicine his mom prepared and calms Ira down. Leanne and Ethel are having dinner with the family. Jackson tells them that John will soon be the town's mayor with a hint of jealousy. Leanne and John had eloped and have been married for 3 months now. Ethel made sure that Leanne's marriage remained low-key so as not to attract any suspicion. Ira eats soup as Bayou looks worried about his health. Ira says he needs to make a phone call as he had promised Willie he would book an audition for him at the Capitol Royale in Chicago. He wants to see if there is an opening. Bayou says they don't have a phone, and the one in the store is closed. He assertively asks Ira to rest and says that he can go tomorrow with Willie. That night at the juke joint, Hattie sings and entertains everybody. Willie is irritated as to why Ira hasn't arranged an audition for him. Ira tries to placate him, saying he will call them tomorrow. He is a bit concerned that Willie's act has nothing new, and they would want to see something different or special. Hattie calls Bayou to sing with her. Bayou soon joins in and mesmerizes the audience with his voice. Ira realizes Bayou is more talented than Willie, and this is the novelty the Capitol Royale is looking for. Everybody cheers and applauds as Bayou finishes singing. Willie looks envious of all the attention his brother is getting. The sheriff comes to take his share from Hattie for letting her run the juke joint in peace. He promises no trouble if she keeps giving him his share. Bayou is out at night. He sees a car following him, which makes him scared, and he starts running but stops when he hears someone call him. It is Leanne. She pleads with him to get in the car. He says people will eliminate him if they see him in the car with her and says it is way too dangerous. But she insists. Bayou asks her to park behind an old mill a few meters ahead and goes to meet her there. He quickly sits in the car and doesn't speak for some time until Leanne asks him how he's doing. She broke Bayou's heart, so he is not going to pretend that nothing happened. He shares how he was saving money to come to Boston looking for her because he thought she was in trouble. He wrote to her every week, even 5 times a week sometimes, but she never replied to any of them. Leanne says she never got any of his letters, so she thought he must have moved on and married. Bayou asks how he could be with someone else when his heart beats only for her. Leanne reveals that her mother had threatened to call the sheriff and tell him that Bayou did things to her if she didn't leave with her, and never talk to him again. They would have eliminated him and burned down his mother's house if she didn't comply. She was left with no choice. Her mother wanted her to marry a rich white man. She doesn't even know how she got herself into this. Bayou asks her if she loves her husband. She doesn't answer at first, but when asked again, she says not as she loved him. Bayou can't recognize the woman in front of him, because the girl he loved had eyes only for him. He asks her why she came down here. Soon Sitsy's car approaches and passes them. Bayou says she is there to pick him up, so he has to leave. He meets Sitsy, who playfully hugs him, and he asks if he can drive. She lets him take the wheel. Leanne looks at them in jealousy. While driving back, they spot Leanne's car pulled over and the sheriff questioning Leanne. Bayou pleads with Sitsy to lie to sheriff that Leanne was there to pick her up. Sitsy tries to ask him the reason, but Bayou doesn't have time. Sitsy does as said and tells the sheriff that Leanne was there to pick her up. But she had got a ride and apologized to Leanne that she had to come all the way up here. She promises she will have her breakfast ready early in the morning. She requests Sheriff not to tell John about this. Sheriff lets Leanne go with a warning, and Sitsy looks at Bayou in disbelief. The next day, Ira manages to get Willie an audition. That night Sitsy was ready to leave. She saw Leanne scrubbing the floor when she came to tell her she was done for the day and leaving. But something got over Leanne, and she asked Sitsy to clean the floor. Sitsy assured her she had just finished mopping the floor, but Leanne wouldn't listen. She turned extremely rude when she didn't allow Sitsy to change into her uniform and slapped her for defying her orders. She probably started believing and acting as other white people did, but more than that, she was jealous of Sitsy's closeness with Bayou. But Leanne was brought back to her senses by Sitsy's slap as a retaliation. Leanne was ready to fight but stopped when Sitsy called her Bucket, the name she was addressed with often back in the day. John comes downstairs and asks if everything is fine. Sitsy says everything is fine, and Leanne stays quiet, scared Sitsy will reveal her truth. Once Sitsy leaves, John tries to convince Leanne that she'll get used to the heat if that is what is keeping her up at night. He says this is his home and now theirs. But Leanne can't stay there and says she wants to go back to Boston. John loses his cool as that would cause so much embarrassment to him and his family name. To defend his name, he would tell everybody that he and Leanne went for a swim, and Leanne drowned in the strong currents. John's words are a warning for Leanne about what awaits her if she does anything that will bring his reputation to ruins. Leanne feels disgusted and scared about the situation her mother has got her into. Willie is in a stupor, telling everybody in the juke joint how he's going to Capitol Royale the next day. Hattie asks Ira if he's got it, but Ira says it is just an audition. She asks Bayou to see the counter as Sitsy is late again. Leanne is still sitting at the table as Sitsy cleans the floor. Leanne asks if Bayou told her, but Bayou wouldn't utter a word. Sitsy figured it out on her own. Leanne says the floor is clean, which makes Sitsy cry. She says she knows but doesn't know why Leanne is acting like this to her. She used to be nice. Leanne confesses she was jealous. Sitsy says Bayou is a one-woman man. He didn't talk to any other woman while she was gone. She tries to make her understand that she and her mother are playing a dangerous game in a society like theirs. Leanne wants Sitsy to give a paper plane to Bayou. Sitsy outrightly declines, but Leanne is persistent, and Sitsy takes it before John comes down again. Bayu meets Leanne after he gets her paper plane from Sitsi. Leanne is ready to go with Bayu and thinks of telling John about her real identity, but Bayu stops her. The consequences will be dire if she does that. He then tells her he can't meet with her like this anymore. But Leanne doesn't want to let go of him as he is the only person who makes her feel safe. Bayu says he needs to save some money if they are going to run from there. Until then, they can't meet. The time apart has been too much for them to carry their emotions, and they let their emotions take control. And Leanne leans in to kiss him, and one thing leads to another. Ethel is passing through the road when she sees Leanne's car. She figures out what is happening and drives off. At home, she is sitting with John when Jackson comes with his wife, Margaret. Sitsi eavesdrop from inside the kitchen. Jackson tells John that someone tipped him off that Bayu whistled at Leanne. Leanne says that is not true. Ethel steps in and says she saw it and told Jackson about it. Leanne cries and asks Margaret to stop her husband, but she wants their husbands to teach Bayu a lesson. John and Jackson leave in anger and talk of taking other men with them. Leanne tries to go after them, but Ethel has already taken the car keys away. She says she warned her she wouldn't let anybody spoil their lives. Leanne rushes in but sighs in relief when she can't find Sitsi. She prays Sitsi reaches Bayu before John and Jackson do. Willie is leaving for Chicago. Hattie is seeing him off, and she has come to know he occasionally takes stimulants. As he's leaving, she asks him to lay it off a little as she's concerned he might become dependent on them. Ira thanks Hattie for letting him stay with them and looking after him. As they are getting in the car, they hear Sitsi shouting hysterically at Bayu to go. In a panic, she says Leanne's mom lied, saying he whistled at Leanne and they are coming for him. Bayu is more concerned about Leanne. Sitsi says she is fine. Hattie also panics and wants her sons to be safe. She pushes him into the car. Bayu is concerned about her too. She assures him she will deal with the sheriff as she pays him. They soon leave. Sitsi and Hattie sit down in the house to calm themselves, and Sitsi tells her everything that is going on between Bayu and Leanne. Hattie cries Lord's name, hearing what a mess has been created. Soon a truckload of people comes with flambeaux. They are ready to burn down the house. Hattie and Sitsi come out to face the mob. John asks her where her son is, and she lies that he left for California that morning. John doesn't believe her and goes inside to check if he is hiding in the house. John comes out and tells them he's not there. They decide to go to the train station to find him. They are sure he must not have gone that far. Sitsi comes back to Leanne's house and tells her that Bayu got away. Leanne is relieved, but Sitsi says she's quitting. She can't do this anymore. Leanne pleads with her not to leave her alone in the house. For her sake, Sitsi stays. It is the next morning. They drove the entire night. Bayu cries as he thinks he left everybody there like a coward, and he soon gets down from the car to regurgitate. Ira comes after him and passes him a handkerchief to clean himself. Ira talks to him and tells him that not too long ago when he was in Germany, his family was sent to a ghetto by the German army because they belonged to the minority. Their condition was terrible. Everything was stolen, they were left with nothing, no food, and everybody was starving. One day they were woken up by the voice of the German army calling out to them. They were ordered to eliminate anybody from them who was unable to work anymore. But Ira and his people didn't know about this, and the army promised them they were moving them to a better place with better living conditions. They were loaded in the cars like cattle, and they stayed like that for days. Ira's voice shakes as he recounts the ordeal. Ira's wife and kid were with him when they were sent to the camps, where they were tested to see if they were fit to work. His wife could not be tested while holding his daughter, so the army eliminated them right before his eyes. Ira says he is telling Bayu this because sometimes one needs to continue moving and enable themselves so they can come back and help their people. He couldn't help his family, but he helped many people. Bayu can do the same. He can help Leanne, but he must first learn how to survive. Bayu understands, and Ira convinces him to continue the journey. They soon reach Chicago. Bayu writes to his mama, telling her how the town is nothing like he has ever seen. He shares he was nervous about what they called an audition at the Capitol. Once inside, they saw the most amazing dancers practicing. Ira goes to meet the director, but the director tells him to call him next week since they are in the middle of the rehearsal. Ira tries his best to make him listen to the brothers, but the director walks away. Willie sees it all and knows they're not getting a chance, so he leaves the music house. Ira comes down and asks Bayu where Willie went. Bayu tells him he just left. Having no choice, he asks Bayu to sing. Bayu doesn't think he can do that. Ira convinces him, reminding him that he wants to help his mother and Leanne, so this is his chance. He encourages him to sing, thinking about Leanne. Ira takes him to the center of the stage and leaves him there to sing. All the dancers stare at him. On Ira's cue, he begins to sing, and the band starts matching the symphony to his song. Ira brings the director to make him listen to Bayu. The director is impressed, and soon enough, Bayu starts singing with the troupe. It has been weeks, and Bayu's career is taking off while Willie sits among the musicians. He is not happy to see his brother in the center of the stage where he envisioned himself once. After the performance, Bayu goes to his dressing room. Ira gives Bayu a letter from his mama, who says she is doing fine and misses him. Things have calmed down a bit in the town. She asks him to take care of himself. Bayu wishes to send his mother some money. Just then, Willie walks in, infuriated. He wants to know why Capitol is going to put Bayu's name on the marquee when it was supposed to be his name. Ira tells him that it is because people are coming to see Bayu. There has been a 30% rise in the business since Bayu started singing there. Willie argues it was supposed to be both the brothers, but Ira reminds him that he walked out that day and he had to convince the director of the package deal. He warns Willie not to ruin this for them. Ira exits the room, and Willie accuses Bayu of taking over his career. Bayu replies it is not him but the bad habits he's got that is taking over his career. Willie soon loses his senses, and Bayu cries seeing his brother's plight. He couldn't save his brother from becoming an addict. Bayu writes back to his mama. He tells her they are doing fine in Chicago. Every chance he gets, he sends her a letter and some money. Little does he know, the mailman takes out all the money he sends, and all she gets is an empty envelope. In another letter, Bayu mentions that Ira has helped them get an apartment, and he wishes she could see it. Every night the lines get longer at the Capitol Royale. People are coming from all over the world to listen to him sing. He is doing pretty well for himself, though he wished his mom told him in her letters how Leanne was doing. Bayu also writes about Willie and tells his mama that Willie is stuck in a really bad place. He doesn't forget to mention that these days, all his shows are getting sold out. John takes oath as Hopewell's new mayor. Leanne is pregnant and soon gives birth to a baby boy. Now when Bayu performs, he is more confident on the stage, interacting with his audience. He has his mama's charm, and one can get a glimpse of Hattie in him as he performs. Hardly a day goes by when his performance doesn't end with a standing ovation from the audience. One night there is a knock at Hattie's door. She carries a gun to ensure her safety. It is Sitsi with Leanne. Leanne is in labor and wants Hattie to deliver her child. Hattie hesitates, but Leanne screams and Sitsi's pleading make her give in, and she delivers Leanne's child. Hattie says she will not cut the umbilical cord and asks Sitsi to take her to the hospital and lie that the baby was already out. After the performance, Bayu reaches his dressing room and finds his cousin waiting for him. He tells Bayu how everybody is scared to show up at the juke joint. He also tells her about the mailman taking all the money he sends home. Hattie has grown a little garden so that she can at least feed herself. Bayu asks if he can deliver some money to his mama, but his cousin reminds him he is not good with money. Bayu is heartbroken hearing what his mama is going through. Ira knocks on the door and asks to speak in private with Bayu. His cousin leaves, and Bayu says he needs some time off. He is going to see his mama in Georgia as she is facing trouble. Ira thinks it is a very bad idea as the people there will eliminate him as soon as they see him there. Ira proposes to go there and bring Hattie to Chicago. But Bayu knows she won't come that easily, and he will have to go there. Bayu plans to sing at his mother's juke joint one night. Once the people start coming, they will come back. At last, he convinces Ira to make arrangements for them to go back. Ira is not sure and cannot do anything but support his friend in his decision. Hattie goes to collect her mail and buy groceries, but the owner says he can't give her any more credit. Leanne walks in at that time and offers to pay, but Hattie has her pride and leaves without the groceries. Later, Leanne comes to visit Hattie with the groceries, but she doesn't want it. Leanne still thinks about Bayu and wishes to send him a letter, but Hattie gets annoyed with her selfishness. She reminds Leanne that she needs to start thinking about the people she has hurt. Hattie knows the baby is Bayu's and asks her what she would have done if the baby was darker. She doesn't want her around and asks her to leave. Another night of performance and another night of Willie coming in high on stimulants. The director is not at all happy with him because he is taking over the performance. He has taken a lot of advance payments, and he owes money to the club. That night was no different, and during the performance, Willie fell on the stage. In the dressing room, Willie starts arranging his apparatus as soon as he gets there. Bayu tells him he is going home to help Hattie get people coming back to the juke joint. He asks if Willie is coming with him. Willie says he'll come. To save Willie from destroying his life, has confiscated the stimulant. When he refuses to give it back to an erratic Willie, Willie pulls out a gun and points it at Bayu. They get into a physical altercation. Ira and another man have to intervene to stop them. Ira pleads with Bayu to give Willie his stuff, and reluctantly, Bayu gives it to him. The director has had enough of Willie, and he gets fired. Ira can't help him anymore. Willie soon leaves, but he warns Bayu that this isn't over and that he hates him. Bayu feels bad that he couldn't help his brother. Leanne worries every day that her baby is getting darker, but Sitsi assures her he is not. She gives her a letter to read by Bayu in which he mentions he is coming back this weekend, and he will be taking her with him away from all of this. Leanne is delighted to learn her predicaments will be over, and she will be with the man she loves. Hattie is nervous about Bayu's well-being. She gets upset with Sitsi for telling Leanne about Bayu's visit back home. She wants them to leave as soon as possible so that the townsfolk have no news of his arrival. Sitsi says Bayu has the right to know that the child is his. The day they have to leave for Georgia, Bayu comes to Willie's apartment to find him passed out. He wakes him up and helps him put on some clothes. Willie, in his daze, says he is going to be happy if the town folks eradicate him. But Bayu remains nonchalant and keeps helping him wear clothes. Willie keeps blabbing and explains how their dad's life was taken in front of Willie when people shot him in the head. Bayu stops for a second or two to process the news, but soon resumes to what needs his attention. Bayu and Willie travel with the entire band and soon reach Georgia. Hattie is overjoyed to see Bayu. She welcomes him with open arms. She then hugs Willie. Willie is envious seeing his mom, and Sitsi is more excited about Bayu's arrival than his. Bayu asks the band to set up as it is going to be dark soon. After the performance, they are going to leave. Bayu whispers the time in Sitsi's ears to let Leanne know she needs to wait for him in the bus. Willie walks out, saying he needs some fresh air. But little do they know Willie is going to the sheriff to tell him about Bayu's arrival. Hattie thanks everybody who has joined them tonight at the juke joint. Soon she reveals the big surprise, her sons. They start performing and everybody enjoys the music. Meanwhile, Jackson calls John and lets him know that Bayu is back in town. Bayu lets his mama take the stage and starts leaving to pick up Leanne. Ira wants him to go with the body men waiting by the car. He agrees. But when he goes out, he asks the men to stay there, as he wants to meet Leanne alone. He climbs onto their tour bus and sees Leanne sitting inside, waiting for him. They cry as they see and kiss each other. Leanne shows him his son, and Bayu couldn't be happier. Inside, Willie is playing his trumpet when he starts crying, making everybody worried. The men of the town come with flambeaux. Bayu sees them through the window and asks Leanne to stay there as he has to go. He can't let them harm his mother. Leanne begs him to stay, but he leaves after kissing her one last time. Bayu gets off the bus and calls out to Jackson so that he can talk to them and clear the misunderstanding. But they capture him before he can say anything. They drag him and beat him with a stick as Leanne wails, seeing what they're doing to the father of her child. Soon gunshots are heard, and everybody ducks in the joint. A woman comes in screaming that the mob took Bayu to the field. Hattie cries and runs to save her baby. Everybody follows. They see him hanging from a tree. The mob had lynched him and hung him from the tree. Bayu wails as she grabs his legs to help him down, but it is too late. Jonathan has finished reading the letters and realizes Bayu is his father, and the woman who just visited his office is his grandma. He comes back home and stands close to the wall that adorns his childhood pictures. His wife asks him where he was, and he says he had some work. She complains about his mother listening to the same old song on repeat. The nurse tells Jonathan that Leanne isn't speaking much these days. She tells Leanne her son Jonathan is here. Jonathan sits in front of Leanne and sees the paper planes. He picks one to make some room and puts all the letters Bayu had written for her that never reached her. Looking at the letters, she feels overjoyed and tries saying something. But tears take their place, and she cries bitterly, remembering the man she loved. Jonathan holds a sniffle and walks outside. Once outside, he sits on a rocking chair and lets the reality of his existence and heritage sink in.